Join us live on the Sherry Lord Talk Show podcast. Start your day off with the Higher Vibrational Podcast with weekly guests covering spirituality, healthy foods, and so much more. Go to sherrylord.com for more info. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us every Tuesday on the Sherry Lord Podcast. And if you feel inclined, please share our page and help us get out there more. We have amazing guests that we have every Tuesday at 10 a.m. on our show. And we have a wonderful guest. She is a regular, and we've had her on our show many times because she has a wealth of information and she can really help you shift and change your life and to empower yourself. So welcome back, Kristi Borst. We're so happy to have you.
Thanks, Sherry. It's always a joy to be here and to share because we are ultimately lifting one another.
Absolutely. And if you want to chat or ask a question, me or Kristi will answer it. Just chat. Most people watch, but we love it when you chat and join us. Yes. Can you tell a little bit to our audience about a little bit about you?
Yes, so I am currently working as a spiritual intuitive, emotional, mind, body, spirit, energy healer. I do private sessions for individuals and couples, as well as medical, emotional, intuitive readings to help people understand the language of physical pain in their bodies. I live in Wells, Maine, but I do serve people worldwide. I've been doing this work for, well, really, I've been doing it all my life, but I only realized I was doing it about 13 years ago.
Wow. And what do you offer for your services too?
Pretty much, I do one-to-one sessions. I do couples work so that people can connect at a more vulnerable level and get to that point of really the intimacy that they want, or sometimes even just to realize that they're not to be together. I have a process that Spirit led me to call perspective reboot because it's often like when we're having a computer problem and we turn it off and we reboot it. The session work goes deep into the multidimensional aspects of self, which includes past life selves, ancestral programming, inner child aspects, which are all part of who we are. And if they're hiding or wounded or suppressed, we can't fully find our joy and wellness.
Yes, that is true. It's so good that people understand that it's more than what they think it is. It's not just always this physical world, even though it's happening in this world, it's deeper.
Yes.
It's deeper. And I really like that about your work. And you're also an author. We're going to be bringing her books up towards the end. She's part of a collaborated in a book that she's into. We're going to bring that one up a little bit later on, and she'll tell us how to get a hold of her and how to get her books. I mean, you really want to read it because as you're reading, I feel your consciousness shifts and changes from it. It's like your soul's remembering. But the question I have for you, Kristi, is what are some of the examples of how, let me rephrase that. What are some of the examples of how suppressed trauma or emotions show up in the body? How, why, and how?
Okay. One of the things that I learned, before I fully, I guess, realized my mission here, or my gifts that I was born with, is that quantum science is telling us that we're not really solid. The parts of an atom are not just the nucleus, the protons and electrons. There's actually like 99 point and then 7 places of nines. That's space.
Right.
And that space, I feel, are our thoughts, suppressed emotions, traumas. So when we can address the non-physical aspects
Right.
of ourselves, we can change the physical. So rather than suppressing um, symptoms or suppressing pain, we need to listen to what it's trying to tell us. So, as an example, and I'm getting the message here, I need to share my disclaimer, which I'm legally, required to say I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a lawyer.
Mhm.
I am a spiritual intuitive and an interfaith minister. And yet I have the ability to help people shift at the physical level. So, as an example, I will mention a woman in her 30s that I worked with. I think it was probably 10 years ago, 2015. She came to me because she was having, negative thoughts and anxiety.
Mm.
And as part of the intake form that I use, I ask if people are having any physical pain or, illness. And I noticed that she had written that she had scoliosis from the time that she was 13.
Mm.
And she also had arthritis and extreme pain in her hands, despite being only, I think she was 32. And so as we go, into a session, I kind of ask about any trauma that the person knows that they have. And so I said, what happened when you were 13? Because I knew through the work I do that it doesn't just happen, right? You don't
Right.
just get illness. There's something that triggers that.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't say, maybe that's the wrong way to say it. It's more like there's a static that happens in the body with trauma that keeps the amazing body from healing itself. So she had had a sexual assault by a family member and was told it never happened. And so I could see how that literally twisted her up, right?
Mhm.
And then that the pain in her hands, I could see was just rage, the rage of that child not being protected, not being, acknowledged, not being healed. So we did a series of 3 sessions, which I call a jumpstart package. And I
Mm.
have a testimonial from her on my site of how, right from the first session, she felt so much lighter. And then, the pain in her hands was very minimal. And, she said she could like sit up straighter in her chair because her
Yep.
spine was kind of realigning. So we really have to, look at what has happened in our past and how we're unconsciously carrying it forward. So that's one powerful one. I could share more if you want, or we could kind
Yeah,
of say,
you can share another one, and then I have
okay,
another question.
okay, awesome. So the other one that kind of came to mind to share is a woman who was in her 70s, and she was a friend through going to a spiritual community. And I noticed that she had repetitive colds, and it got to the point where she had pneumonia. So I actually offered her a free session because of her being, retired and not having income. And in that session, the first session there, um, first of all, she apologized for her dog because she had a very high strung dog. And so I
Mm.
said, well, that's okay. Just let him come and I'll, help him calm down. So he calmed down. And then it came out, in the beginning of the session, I usually ask people for their history. And her dad had died when she was a very young child.
Mm.
So she never really knew the love of her father. And I actually find that anything that is lung based is really to do with not feeling love, not breathing in love. So we worked on that. And, in the middle of the session, she said, wow, I have just taken like the biggest breath I think I've taken in, years. And then after the fact, I got an email from her, and she told me that her neighbor had come to check on the dog because he was being so quiet. The neighbor thought that the dog had transitioned. So, we really can affect, or, through the work I'm doing, I can affect people's vibe and how, anxious or at peace they are. And also, I think, there's this phrase that came from Spirit years ago, which I use quite a lot, but it's very powerful. Awareness equals the power of choice equals the power to change.
Yep.
When we understand what's going on, we can make different choices than what we've been unconsciously making. So for this woman, she could more consciously say, my dad loved me. He didn't mean to die, or it wasn't his, might not have been his choice to leave me. And we can do deep healing work with the child's self to show them, with capital letters, truth, as opposed to what they have thought for years and years and years.
Yeah. Wow, thank you, Kristi. It's a wealth of information. And the examples really help people get a better understanding of how certain things in your life can affect you, and that you can heal that. The second question that I have is, what are some tips or techniques you would suggest to help our listeners to look inside and release that what no longer serves them?
I, th- I think I have like a few. What I really want to start with is the breath.
Yeah.
Just, let's together just take a moment and just take a breath. And what people, I think, don't realize when we look at like meditation or, yoga or practices that focus on the breath. Why do we focus on the breath? For me, I feel that the breath connects us to source, God, all that is,
Mhm.
and also to every other living thing. So when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling alone, take a deep breath and feel that connection to all of life. We are not just the body, we are the breath that breathes us. So that's a big healing thing, is to really feel connected despite what's going on around you with humans. Spirit loves you.
Right.
um, your ancestors are cheering you on. So I see the word alone, and if we add another L in that word, which I feel is love, we are all one. So
Yeah.
that in itself, walking around in your life knowing that you're connected to everything and that you're integral here, can be powerful for
Mhm.
uh, claiming yourself. I think the second thing about, looking inside is to understand that illness and pain are not random. They are perhaps showing us the weakest link within our mind, body, spirit, emotions. And
Mhm.
often illness is almost literally talking to us. Um, for example, excuse me, with this, both of these examples I gave you,
Yeah.
um, a lie was actually twisting this person up inside because she was so tormented by it, that the spine, which keeps us straight, was twisting with that emotion. Or, clenching your fists in rage, like almost try to find what expression that we have you know, in our collective that relates to that part of your body. I'm so pissed off. People that walk around angry and pissed off will have a lot of urinary tract infections. They may get, bladder cancer or, something to do in that area. So take a pause and actually try to interpret or connect with someone like me that knows this language of the body and understand what your body is trying to tell you, right? Awareness equals the power of choice equals the power to change. Once we understand what we've been programming our body to do, we can change, or we can more consciously decide what we're saying. A thought came when I said that. Let me see if I can get it back. We should not say, once we're diagnosed with something, I tell people, don't say I have XYZ disease, because in that sense of ownership, you're owning it and you're telling your body, this is what it is and this is where we expect to stay. So it's better to say, I'm working at healing myself of XYZ.
Wow.
Let's see. Another example or another tip is to kind of look at behavioral patterns that have been passed down through the generations, which can also lead to disease. So if you have a disease that runs in your bloodline, yes, it could be genetic, but there's also a behavioral piece or a thought pattern or a belief. I'm going to type that into the text here or the chat. It's a lie within within our mind that we're holding on to. And I believe our generations, the people that are here now, we're here to heal those stories or those misperceptions
Yeah,
of who and what we're here to be.
absolutely.
So I
And I
think those are three really powerful ways to look inside and start to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I think they're wonderful. Good advice to the people who are listening and who are looking for the change and to move beyond where they are and be at more peace with themselves and enjoy life even more. But I have another question. How can we change our past, present, and future?
Well, there is a, colloquial expression that you can't change the past, but you can change the past by changing your perception of it, your perspective of it, and how it affected you. I think at this point, what's coming to mind is to share about another really powerful session I had with a woman who was going through rectal cancer. She
Okay.
had stage 4 rectal cancer. And I can remember saying to her, you don't seem, like, I didn't see like the emotional charges that I would expect from that part of the body. And I said, how do you think that kind of were exposed to this illness in this part of your body? And so she had worked at a suntan center, and she had used the beds, and she said, I have so much guilt. I used the beds. I didn't, I shouldn't have, I blah, 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 blah. And so we actually worked through in session her going to work and going in and doing her job, but not going into the tanning beds. And she ended up recovering. Of course,
Mhm.
she was having cancer treatments as well, but I feel that shifting her perspective of what had
Yeah,
happened helped her to release the non-physical aspects of that illness so that her body
yeah,
could repair
yeah.
itself.
That is amazing. I think that's wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to share before I bring up your books and talk a little bit about how that all came about?
I think probably, uh, usually when you ask me a question, there's something that comes in, and I know that's what's supposed to be shared. And I think the biggest message is that um, we have to really embrace uh, the traumatic memories that come back to us.
Yeah,
Um, and and sometimes people will say, "Oh my gosh, I worked on this like years ago. I thought I was done." Like that's 180-degree different attitude than I'm going to heal this. So when something comes up like that you feel like you've worked on it, be in joy that it is ready to heal to a deeper
yeah,
level. Because as you kind of illuminate that with truth and love and compassion and grace, you're going to be that much more free, that much more um, able to hold light and love in those parts of your body that
mhm.
were holding density and trauma and darkness. So don't aim to be done, aim to dive deeper and deeper and release what no longer serves you, because in doing so, you release what no longer serves everybody else.
That's true. That's amazing. I'm going to bring up one of your books right now, and
Okay.
it's called Be the Beacon. And you are part of a collaborated with this book. Can you explain a little bit how that came about?
Yeah, so this one was really pretty easy flow, kind of just fell into place. I was
Mhm.
approached to do another collaborative book, and it was really expensive. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to be giving of myself, so I don't want to have to pay all that money. So
Right.
I went online and I looked for other projects. And this one came up. And what struck me with it, Sherry, is that I have this kind of process that I teach empaths, that
Okay.
as empaths we tend to be sponges, and we feel what everybody else might not even be feeling. And I teach people to ground yourself and stand in your own light, and then
Yeah.
express that outward and affect others by your own vibe that you can stand in. And so I say, be the beacon. So, this was just perfect for me. And what I shared in this book was, I believe it's chapter 3, and it's called "This Little Light of Mine," and it talks about the pivotal moment when I remembered healing myself as a child and being told to, don't do that,
Yeah.
never do that. And I'm not angry about it, because it was in the 60s. I was a child. What are you going to do with a child healer, right? So
Mm.
I know it was part of my own path of finding myself. So I share that and hope that other people are inspired to go back to the child self and see what he or she wants to share.
I think
And there
that's
are many other,
wonderful.
powerful be the beacon stories in there.
Absolutely. And you have, this is your current book. I'm going to bring this one up. Let me bring it up. Unmuted Voices. Now, how did this one come about?
So this one, again, is a collaboration about religious, societal, family indoctrinations that keep us from living our authentic selves. And again, for many people, like, it's programming, so we don't see it until we really look for it. My chapter is chapter 9, and it's called The Vibe to Thrive. And it talks about kind of really through the process of writing this, I really saw within myself so much negative programming of you can't do this, or even like science when we were growing up. Science would say, I can't do what I do, but God says I can. So hallelujah, right? So,
Yeah,
it's about getting out of the self-limiting beliefs and really embracing what's possible in this now and throughout infinity. So both are
absolutely.
powerful. And I'm joined by amazing other women in both of these books who share, inspiration and the ways that they have overcome, um, you know, feeling less than, or showing up as less than who we're here to be.
Exactly. I think these, how can people get a hold of your books? I mean, where are they listed?
So they are both on Amazon, and they're offered through the publisher, through the person that put the collaborations together. So I don't get any of that revenue. But if people go to my website, which is releasingyourblocks.com. Both of these books have pages, and in exchange for buying them from me, I include, an inscription. And in the case of the Vibe to Thrive, I have an expanded list of integration exercises. They were edited to be shorter in the book, but I give my full range of those through my website.
Well, and you did say these are on your website where they can book them personally, and they are on Amazon too.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I think that's wonderful. Do you
And
have
both,
any? Yeah.
go ahead, hon.
No, it was good. I just want to make sure that people can find it. We'll also be adding her one book. We have the Unmuted Voices on our website. So, if you need to go to our website, we also have her link where you can click on it and go straight to her website as well. And she's amazing. I think you'll love having an experience from her and for yourself. And her books, I mean, if you read these stories, it will help you expand, and give you clarity and much greater understanding that you can, change. You can enjoy life more, and your freedom and claiming your power back. I think it's wonderful. And we just so much enjoy having you. Is there anything else before the closing that you'd like to share with us?
Let's see. I just would say, be aware of your own self limitations, because again, awareness equals the power of choice,
Right.
equals the power to change. And, we may have been controlled as children and young adults, but ultimately, when we're adults, we're sovereign beings, and we
Mhm.
get to decide who we are and who we're here to be. And just to realize that what other people think of you really
Right.
is none of your business, because their judgment of you is their stuff, not your stuff.
Exactly. That's really good advice. Very, very, very good advice. Kristi, we so love having you, and we will have you back. And we appreciate all the wealth of information and everything you've shared with our audience. And again, you can go to our website, you can click on her link, And if you wrote it down, just go straight to her website and you'll get additional more information and you can order her books. It's really wonderful having you, and we'll have you back. Thank you, Kristi. And we bless all the people who are watching us. And we just want to say thank you. And we just, we got 2026 coming. We just bless everyone with abundance, prosperity, and freedom and joy in your life. And just thank you for watching and help us share our podcast. Thank you. And thank you, Kristi.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Sherry.
International psychic medium and podcast host Sherry Lord. She is one of the most sought after psychic mediums. Book your special readings. Go to www.sherrylord.com.